Welcome to Chad Hates Carbs. So today we're going to take some hard-boiled eggs that we've previously hard-boiled, obviously, and we're going to make them into deviled eggs. Now, deviled eggs in my family is a major thing around the holidays, and my son and I, my youngest son and I, tend to fight over these. So I love them, and being able to make them is obviously a good thing in our household. So the way that you make deviled eggs, you take the hard-boiled eggs, and I've got a video on that if you want to check that out. They're really simple. But basically, once you get them all hard-boiled, you want to peel them, obviously, and then you're going to cut them in half, and you're going to scoop out the yolks into a bowl. And don't worry if there's a little bit extra, that's fine, because you're going to immediately put the yolks back in. Sometimes the yolk is easy and sometimes it is not. It reminds me of a hymn. At any rate, once you get these cut up, then you're going to mix it up with some other ingredients, and really there aren't that many ingredients. Now, I want to point out this is an egg fast friendly recipe because I am kind of headed towards an egg fast. And I want to have a lot of stuff that's going to be legitimate for that. In an egg fast, you don't want you want basically zero carbs, which makes it a little bit tougher than standard low carb. But we're gonna shoot for it anyway. And like I said before, some of them come out real easy, some of them do not. These have actually been fairly straightforward, coming out pretty easily. But anyway, that's how you do it. You just put them all in a bowl, and I'll come back whenever we get that done. Now that we've got these all gutted, we're going to go ahead and put in the rest of the ingredients. And we'll basically, again, because this is a low, or it's an egg fast version of this, we're going to have to be a little bit more careful about what we put in. A lot of times, like the recipes that my wife uses for this, she uses lemon juice and or lime juice for that tartness, but we can't really do that. So what we've got here, you'll notice I've got 7 eggs, and so the recipe calls for 6, so I'm going to put in a little bit more than 1/3 of a cup of mayo in here. Obviously, the mayo is legitimate from a low carb standpoint, because mayo is pretty much all fat, because it's eggs, so you're putting eggs with your eggs. Anyway, so that's that part. It calls for green Tabasco, which I like green Tabasco. We just don't happen to have any, and we always have Red Hot, because Red Hot is the best option. My kids have started to move away from Red Hot, but you know, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with Red Hot. So this is just, my youngest son and I are the ones that are going to be eating these, and I prefer the taste of Red Hot. So, and this is actually one of John's Christmas presents this last year, was this giant thing of Red Hot. So we haven't made it through that in a year though, which kind of makes me sad. So the last thing we want to put in here is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And so we want to put in, obviously, the Red Hot's going to give it some tang. The mayonnaise is going to give it some tang. And so that's kind of what we're counting on in this specific recipe. Again, if you were to make this like some real deviled eggs, you'd want to put in something like a kind of a shot of lemon juice or lime juice, or some kind of citrusy thing. But it's surprising actually how many carbs are in a little shot of lemon juice or whatever. So all we're going to do is just mix this guy up. You want to have, oops, I'm splattering all over myself. Tastes good. It tastes delicious. Anyway, but basically you want to use a fork or something that's kind of firm. You could put this in a, I could put it in my KitchenAid or whatever, but I don't feel like washing that thing again right now. And this stuff, if it's chunky, that's fine with me. I don't need it to be super smooth, because I'm the one that, like I said, my wife hates eggs, and my oldest son hates eggs, so they're not going to eat any of this. So it's me and my youngest son who like eggs, and neither one of us care about whether or not, I don't think, whether or not the deviled eggs are a little bit chunky. So this is like kind of the, I don't know if you can see that. It's still a little bit chunky, so I'm going to keep going a little bit. Because you don't want to get a big chunk of powderiness in there. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not going for super smooth. So what does that taste like? That's pretty good. I like that. Might be a little bit salty. Probably should have thought about that. Adding salt with the Red Hot, probably I didn't need to do quite that much, but oh well. So I guess I should probably put this on a plate so that I can actually put those somewhere, like the refrigerator. I'm pretty sure when Johnny comes home from school today, he will eat most of this plate. I need to let him know that I want to actually eat some of these. I'll save at least, I'll eat one now, because that's how I do on the show. But basically what you're going to do, I just happened to see like a little spot of yolk that wasn't stirred in good. So anyway, what you're going to do is you're just going to take the egg yolk and the mixture of the egg yolk, and you're going to slap it in there. Just put it right in there on top. And see, here's me not thinking again. I should have done this. Put it in, and then placed it on the plate. This is why they don't pay me to cook anything. Because I don't know what I'm doing. Or haven't figured out the optimized path. So there we go. And generally speaking, you should know that you do want to fill it a little bit above, because you just added a bunch of extra stuff. So you can't fit the egg yolks back in the hole. So just slap that crap on top. It doesn't need to fit exactly, because you're going to have plenty of extra goop in your recipe. So again, this is one of those things where, at least to me, it's not super difficult, but it's difficult enough with the whole, hey, I got to hard boil a bunch of eggs, and then I got to peel them, and then it's kind of a pain. So this is one of those things that's nice to do if you have somebody else in the house. You can be like, hey, come help me with this, and then you can, peel eggs together or something. Because making these things, like you saw, it takes no time once you got the hard boiled eggs. But the hard boiled eggs is the part that's a little bit crappy. So as I recommended in my hard-boiled eggs segment, I definitely recommend doing more than one recipe worth for a couple of reasons. One, because it's easier to, if you can get people to help you, then obviously that's easier because you have more than one person doing it. And the second reason is because these, you want them to be kind of pretty. You don't want them to look totally disgusting. So these are pretty good from an aesthetic perspective, whereas when you are handling your eggs, when you're peeling them, you're going to have issues with them. The outsides are going to get kind of funky or whatever, and so you want to make sure that you have your pretty ones for deviled eggs, and then you have your crappy ones for your other recipes where all you need is hard-boiled eggs inside of it, like egg salad, for example. So that's what I recommend, why I recommend doing it that way, where you have the extras. So you can see we've got, there's our 6 eggs worth, and then we still have plenty of filling in here. Because I'm using a fork, I can't get all this stuff out. So I'll just eat the filling here in a second, once I turn off the camera, because I need to be left alone with my eggs. But that's really good. Like I said, the recipe itself called for half a teaspoon of salt. if you're going to do something like this red hot, I would recommend not putting in any extra salt. Probably would have been a good idea to not follow the recipe exactly, but to actually test this stuff before I, added the salt. But that's delicious. And that's deviled eggs. Obviously, if you serve it at a family gathering, you probably want some kind of like fancy pants thing, but these will not last the day here at this house. So, till next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you then. Have a good day.